This week on Family Tech Weekly, new operating systems are coming for Android and iPhone.
And we're going to talk about teaching healthy tech habits to your kids.
And I want to explain to you why your kids like to watch other people play video games. Hello and welcome to Family Tech Weekly. I'm your host, Michael, and this is my wife,
Melinda.
I love her. And we're going to unpack some of the tech topics from the most recent weeks here. I apologize for our silence over the past few weeks. Explain to them why we were so silent over the past few weeks.
Well, we have been silent with you, but not with other things.
Yeah.
We have been super duper busy with dance recital, hullabaloo, lots of recitals, lots of stuff getting ready, setting up. And this last weekend we had our recital and it went great and it was a lot of fun.
We danced.
And
We ballroomed.
yes, we ballroomed. My kids did all the things and I did all the things, and
It was good.
it was a lot of fun. We did it on Broadway and it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, and then
But
we're-
busy, so that's
yeah.
why we didn't have time.
We're also in the middle of like finalizing applications for a rental house, working on an RV we need to really start working on the RV more to get it ready to sell that we've been living in the last 2 years. Lots of crazy stuff. You can read about it on our Facebook page at facebook.com/becausefamily. Did I tell you I fixed that?
Yay!
I fixed it. It's now facebook.com/becausefamily. You can learn all about, read the recent note we put in there on kind of the update from our family.
Yeah.
But you can also go to becausefamily.org and familytechblog.com to learn all about us, learn all about what we're going to be talking about today. And the first thing I want to jump into and dive into is new operating systems. There have been major events over the past few weeks. Usually the late spring, early summer is when the tech companies put out their latest announcements because they like to release stuff in the fall because they want you to buy it or upgrade for the holidays. And so in the latest updates and announcements have been pretty big because for the first time in a long time, Android is really making a lot of major changes in some of what they're doing for their operating systems, which, for those of you that may not know, that's the software that runs your entire device, your entire iPhone or Android phone or tablet. You have operating systems on your computers and your phones and your tablets and everything like that.
You know the little thing that pops up and says you have an update, like that's
You're operating your operating system. It's the system that operates your device. So
So when you say just go ahead and do it, it's updating your.
it's important, and we're going to talk about that. But iOS, which is Apple's operating system, iOS 11 is coming out, and Android O is what they're calling it, is coming out as well. That'll be coming out in the fall. Beta testers like me will be getting it in just a couple weeks here to try out, and I'll be making sure I tell you all the cool features that I find. Here's some of the major features that I saw in the announcements that are coming out. For Android O, they're spending a lot of time maximizing augmented reality capabilities and things like that your camera can do. They're also doing a lot of stuff that you're not going to notice because it's the kind of stuff that makes your phone faster and better, but you don't see it happening. It's going to affect how software runs in the background. It's going to handle stuff like that. There's also going to be some updates to how you are notified by apps, and so it's going to give you options to put notifications into certain categories, and then you can change the notification settings based on those categories. Like, I don't want as many social media notifications, so you put all these apps in the social media category, tell it I only want half the amount, and it's not going to notify you as much. And it's asking developers to please use this system to help you identify and help the software automatically kind of identify their apps to put it in categories without you having to worry about it. So some of that's pretty interesting and pretty cool. Apple's major focuses that they're changing, the major things that they're changing is they are also doing some major camera changes. They're actually opening up augmented reality, as is Android, to where more and more people can develop for it and make it more possible. Apple is opening up what they call their sandbox, where it's where developers are allowed to play within their device. And so Apple's sandbox, and I think we've talked about this before, has been very small to where you can't, like, for instance, you can't put something in there that monitors all the browser or app activity within Apple's sandbox because you're not allowed to have access to that data. Well, they've expanded some stuff and they're allowing developers to do a little more, which is going to make it a little easier for accountability software and filters and things like that to be used on Apple devices. Another major thing they're doing is they're building in I need to look at it real quick and make sure that I tell you the exact right information here. It's loading. We're back here in the back of the house where the Wi-Fi is a little slower. It's going to be adding an automatic do not disturb while driving option. So it's going to see how fast you're going and know that you're driving based on your speed, and then it'll automatically switch to do not disturb. And that is an option that can be turned off, but it's going to be on automatically. And I would recommend your teenagers, your teenagers, you have them do that.
That's way too long for them to actually.
Yeah, and there was some lawsuits and stuff that was like, why isn't this just something built in? Why is it something you have to download as an app? And finally, it's actually a real thing that Apple's going to be doing.
And that's on Apple, or is it?
That's on Apple, on iOS. And
cool.
they're also, let's see, some other the major things that they're doing. They're fixing Siri a little bit more. And they're having a better notification screen. The notification screen and lock screen are completely different now. They're actually the same screen. You just scroll up and down instead of going side to side, and it shows the same stuff. Big difference. They're using the 3D touch more, to where when you touch on a settings in your control center, it brings it up and lets you fix it a little more. And stuff like that. You're going to, because it's going to have more controls in there that you're going to want to mess with.
Don't think about it.
That you don't mess with now because it's a little harder. Here's something you need to know too about iOS. Well, Android O and iOS. Android typically doesn't go very far back with their updates as far as phones go. So if you have an older Android phone, Android O probably won't be available to you. iPhones are a little better about it, but this iPhone is not going to include the iPhone 5. Anything iPhone 5 and older will not get iOS 11. So only 5S and newer is going to get iOS 11. So that's a big deal because it's kind of it's not that, those phones aren't that old. And so...
Well, I mean, you couldn't buy them new 3 years ago, right?
Right, yeah. So yeah, they're just a few years old, but it's something that's going to change. So I don't know if there are any parental control changes. I seem to be one of the only people who really turns that into news because it's what I do. So people haven't reported on any parental control changes in iOS 11 or Android O. I did write recently about, and I'll put a link in the description if I remember, but I did write recently about Android's newest work towards better parental controls for Android devices. And the changes they made there will obviously follow into Android O as well. So it's pretty neat that there's some big changes coming, and I recommend updating if you can. Always recommend updating as soon as the updates come out. Some people want to say, well, but what if it's buggy and you want to fix it? But sometimes it's buggy, but they will fix it. It's not going to kill your phone. People like me beta test this stuff, and if it was going to brick phones or turn them into useless bricks, if it was going to do that, we know that. If it happens, it usually happens just every now and then, and it's usually on an Android. And if it's on an Android, it's usually because the user of the Android, the sandbox is bigger, and it allows them to mess things up. So I recommend updating as soon as you can, because there are a lot of those updates are security updates and things like that that keep this junk out of your phone and computer that could hurt it, mess it up, and mess you up or track you, do things like that. So anyway, you have any questions about all that they may think of and you would answer it ahead of time for them?
When does it come out exactly?
This fall. Both of these are coming out this fall. Both of them are also going to be in public beta this month. So if you are somebody like me who likes to kind of get a head start on these things and you know what you're talking about, you can join the public beta, and as you sign up for beta, you're going to get an opportunity to install it ahead of everybody else. And it's only a developer beta right now, so people who really work designing for it are able to get it. But people like me who just like to test it as their last line of testing, then the people like me, that we get it later this month. So, and I think both of them are that way. So anyway, that's the new operating systems coming out for Apple and Android. You should check them out when they're available and install them. And then we're going to talk about healthy tech habits for your kids. So we're back, and it's time to talk about teaching your kids healthy tech habits. We have younger kids, so it makes it a little easier. We've talked to our kids a little bit about what we do to help them with be healthy tech wise? What are some things that you want them to know we do so that can maybe help?
Well, they don't have free reign. They know that they have to ask if they want to even get on a phone or a device of any sort. And they know that they're going to have a time limit set with guided access. And they will not just have free reign to sit for hours and hours and hours. And they also know that they cannot download anything themselves. And they have to do whatever is on the device. They never have just sat and creeped the App Store because that's not something we allow.
Jason says he did once with me sitting there though.
Oh, but you had a parent.
No. Yeah, you had a parent with you, but I was creeping it and he was there, I think. But anyway, no. Oh, he's telling on us right now. Come here, tell the people what happened.
I was playing a game on his phone, and I think he had to leave or something, or he was sitting somewhere else.
In the room.
He wasn't. It was at dance class. He wasn't right there with me. I had it. I was looking at the App Store.
Oh.
There. But I know not to
Confession
do
time.
it. I know not to do it now.
Confessions of a 9-year-old. Yeah, I don't give
But
them
he
my
knows
phone.
that to where it's like,
Yeah.
and it's a big enough deal that he had to make an announcement
Right.
about it. So this
I don't.
is not.
And I don't give my
big
kids my
deal.
phone almost ever because there's not much on there that they care about, and it's my work. Like it's a work device for me, and some play
And
for
I
me
don't
too.
really.
but
I've got a couple things on there that they can play, but like I said, I always use guided access.
we've got the big iPad, and we use that. And at dance class, I don't know. It may have even been on guided access, but then the App Store came up and was with. Sometimes the App Store comes up with an app it's wanting you to download, and you can look at that app's profile in the App Store, and it may have even been something like that. But either way, we typically have the guided access thing set so they can't get out of the app that they're in, or we have it set to, or they just know they're not just going to play. And we use YouTube Kids and things like that a lot. And the most important thing that we
We're always
do,
around.
yeah, and the most important thing that we do is we talk to them about it, and they know why we have these restrictions. If you ask any of my kids if they should be, just go watch YouTube willy-nilly, they're going to say, no way, don't do it. And if we're watching like Rhett and Link or something, and a video that's not Rhett and Link starts to auto-load from the playlist, Jason's especially, or Olivia, they're both just like, no, turn it off. No, we can't watch that. We don't know what that is. Daddy hasn't seen that yet, And so they get it, that there's things out there that aren't meant for them and their age group. And so we have those conversations with them. They hear me talk. My son sits right here through every episode of this podcast almost and listens to what I tell you. So, that's it's a major thing. But some of our kids, as they get older, we have to give them a little more free reign. Let them be more free range and give them more opportunities to learn by doing, with this tech stuff. And so I wrote a post for another blog, and I put it on our blog as well. And it's about teaching your kids healthy tech habits. And there's 3 major things that I mention. And it's number 1, it's transparency. Number 2 is relationship, and number 3 is time management. And we'll unpack that here in a second. But I want to emphasize the term healthy, because when you want to talk to your kids about doing something online, then it's difficult, because if you want to say right or wrong, then you end up causing conflict easier, because they think there's nothing wrong with watching YouTube for 6 hours today.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing wrong with it on a day off to watch something for that long, or to binge watch a television show. Or they don't think it's wrong to watch other people play video games for forever, which I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But you may not think it's wrong or right, but you know that it's not healthy. Like, that can be proven and that can be backed up. And so that's the conversation I recommend you have with your kids. Is this healthy? And so the first thing, I think I got them out of order a minute ago, the first thing that I think is most important and most critical with teaching your kids healthy tech habits is relationships. You have to have a relationship with your kids, because I say, when I teach parents about anything, parental influence in parenting or tech stuff, I say boundaries without relationship are rules, and rules are made to be broken. And so It will hurt your attempts at keeping them safe if you just say, well, we don't do that, and that's not how we do this. We don't spend 6 hours on YouTube. You're not allowed to do it. When they're little, it makes sense and it's easier to say it that way. But as they get older, you've got to add the conversation and the relationship and say, hey, what do you think is healthy here? Do you think it's healthy to have 6 hours, or do you think maybe a couple hours a day would be a little healthier to start out? And let them help you have that conversation so that you can guide them without completely ruling over them.
Well, and especially as they're getting older, it's going to come to a time where they are in 100% control over their day, and they have to know why and have a better foundation for those healthy habits, or else they're going to be the adults that spend, half their day on things that aren't important. All right, we're going to talk about something that's been a conversation in our household a few times, and it's about people watching other people play video games.
Yes, and it's actually got a name. And
Escorts.
it's actually, no, not escorts. That is what autocorrect tries to fix it to say. But it's esports, electronic sports. And esports is an industry. It's not a trend. It's not a joke. It's something that people are paying big money. There was an announcement yesterday that Intel is sponsoring a VR esports tournament that will finish in, I believe it's in Norway. I can't remember exactly where they said. But the final is going to be in Norway in a giant soccer stadium where there will be a live audience to watch. And the prize, if you win the whole tournament, is $1 million. People are making real money playing video games in competitions. And they're making real money broadcasting their playing on Twitch, which is a live streaming platform that was basically invented for gamers, and on YouTube, which is where your kids probably watch it the most. But there are gamers that run the gamut, from first-person shooters to horror games to my favorite guy that I follow. He does story games where the story is like really highlighted and featured in the game. And sometimes it means he's playing a first-person shooter. Sometimes it's a horror game, which are my favorite because it's so fun to watch other people get scared from video games. He also plays a lot of just like puzzle type story games that are really good. Some of them independent games. Anyway, but his name's Christopher Odd, by the way. You should check him out. And if you ever see this Christopher Odd, I think you're pretty great. But I'm kind of a fan. So, but then they've got guys like a guy that I watch play named Quill18. He doesn't need my help promoting him. He's got millions of subscribers. He plays strategy games, and that's his focus, which is the kind of games I like to play. And so all these people are out there. It's their career now. Like, these guys quit their jobs because they've got enough subscribers that advertising and sponsorships are paying them to play video games and broadcast it. We have somebody who was in our youth group, a young lady, who does this. She just flew to E3, the event I watched. She was flown to E3 by a video game company to test out video games and talk to her fans about it. They paid her to come do that because they want the notoriety and the publicity that comes from her fans hearing from her about these games. She was in our youth group when we were youth pastors, and her husband. And so it's a real thing. It's not a fad. It's not going to go away. I watched the thing yesterday where they were announcing all the latest games coming out, and we always complain about movies and how movies are all like rebranded junk. Video games are not. This is where the like original creative content is coming from. And so esports is a real thing. And your kids are watching people play video games on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitch and on Instagram and wherever that they're broadcasting it from. Your kids are watching this happen because it's real entertainment. It really is. And the main reason I watch it is because I can sit down and watch somebody play a video game over a matter of 3 months in 20-minute chunks better than I can sit down and play the same game and see the story develop in the game. Because when you sit down to play, you've got to commit 2-3 hours at a time, and it's not easy to do. And so this is a way to like plug in little episodes of the game to your life. Okay, go.
I just have never been one to be able to just sit and watch people play video games. So it is hard for me to understand because he, as a kid, would watch his cousin play.
Yes.
And he's like, "Here, you play," because he wanted to see the end of the game.
I'm
but
not good at it.
He wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's like, can I do it? Can I just do that for you? If they're like struggling or something, like, no, I just want to take it from them and do it.
That's called facepalm.
Facepalm?
Facepalm. When you're watching video, like seriously, in the whole world of like let's play video gaming, whenever you're watching a guy play a game and he's not figuring something out, you can go look at the comments and people are like, oh, and then they'll put a timestamp of when it happened, 5 minutes and 33 seconds, facepalm. And you'll see like 50,000 of those comments. It's like 5 minutes, 30 seconds, facepalm. 5 minutes, 30 seconds, it's facepalm, facepalm, facepalm. Exactly what you're saying. So we all feel the same thing. We just suffer through and watch and joke, tease them about it.
Yeah, I've never been able to understand it in the months that
Right.
you've done it, and I don't know. I get that it's a real thing. I get that people do it. That's not like I'm not like but I don't understand it. I don't know why people would want to do that. I don't know why people would want like the people who play them and then like they'll get $1,000 tip and then somebody else will do $1,000 tip.
Yeah.
And like people are throwing money at these people playing video games.
Well, and that's the thing is,
like,
on Twitch you can do that, where as you play live, your fans can tip you money to pay, and they subscribe and pay $5 to subscribe, which means you get, most of the time if you subscribe, you get bonus content and stuff that, like, sometimes they let you join multiplayer games and play with them and things like that, but you can watch for free, and I've tipped a couple times, but I tip guys when they do, like one of the guys I like, he actually does like game building tutorials where he talks about coding and he's educational and teaches, and I've tipped to those things when he does that. But yeah, they make money straight from their viewers that way, and yeah, so.
But like the comparison of like, well, it's just like watching a movie or a TV show. I'm like, yes, it is, but it's also that whole like it's also how much time, whether you're having healthy habits of it. So especially with your kids, you're gonna have to pay attention because, would you let them sit and play a video game for 3 hours? Are they binge watching these guys play for 3 hours? Like,
right.
What,
well, see, and there's also something
kind of
that's a big deal too. It is, because when your kids or teenagers are watching Let's Play videos for hours and hours and hours and hours, no, it probably isn't healthy. And I don't do that. I watch Let's Play videos while I'm folding laundry. I watch Let's Play videos when I can't sleep at night and I can't read because it needs to be dark or whatever. I watch Let's Play videos, just at random times that I don't really want to watch, like a TV show or something or a movie. And I don't watch sports. I don't watch football games hardly ever unless the Cowboys are doing real good.
And I would say it is very much a comparison.
It is. Or dancing or
No.
No, listen. Can I explain? And this is something I put in the article I wrote about this.
Oh, you were saying watching dancing.
Watching
Sorry.
dancing. Because let me explain. Like when something is invented, I mean, from roping calves to throwing spears to throwing heavy metal balls to running as fast as you can to throwing a ball into an end zone to score or hitting a ball with a stick, or right now is the International Cricket Championships I saw because Google had a sweet game on there, the Google Doodle, check it out. And all that stuff was available, or all that stuff happens, and people invent these games or these things, and other people who can't do it as well want to watch the people who can. And video games are the same thing.
So is it something though, is video games, I guess not all sports are inspirational to other people, because I just think of me, like watching the Olympics or something like that, or watching dancing or this or that, it inspires me to work harder or do more for my own life. Is watching video games something that's just a blah time waster, or would it be better to sit and play a video game for that amount of time because it's actually using your mental
you have to decide
strategy
if entertainment and escapism is valuable or not. Because to me it is. Escapism is important to me because my world gets so busy and crazy in my brain that I can't sort things out, and sometimes I need an escape to reset. But
is there a level of like healthy escape and something that's not as beneficial? Like there's a more beneficial escape
There might be.
than
There
something
might be.
like that.
But like reading a book to me is not escapism. Usually I can read a book sometimes, and I go through phases too, where I want to read all the time, and then I go through phases where I'd rather sit and watch something. But I definitely want to. I don't mean to change the version, but I want to make sure I say this. I definitely recommend if your kids watch Let's Play videos that you watch some of what they watch, because there are a lot of foul language guys on there and stuff like
that's
that.
something that I was.
And like
Make sure you-
like there are guys who play Minecraft, who your kids love Minecraft, and they want to watch other people play Minecraft. Because that's the other thing, is if you play Minecraft and you're good at it, you watch Minecraft to get creative ideas on what to do the next time you play, which is fun. That's cool. Or if you want to, like, I like to look at, like the other day there was a bunch of Steam games for 90 cents. And I was like, are these any good? So I went and watched the first episode of a Let's Play of one of these games. I was like, oh, that's worth 90 cents probably. And so I bought it with PayPal, 90 cents. And it's a puzzle game that I'll play around with and played with my son a little bit yesterday. But so that's valuable for that reason. But sometimes you're going to come across people who play these games and they are just foul-mouthed and they're very adult-oriented. And then you're going to find guys who are very kid-friendly or family-friendly when they play games. And so I still recommend you keep your eye on it. And something like YouTube Kids is going to help with that as well, because they make it pretty obvious if they're not kid-friendly, if they're a Let's Play gamer, because they're not after, like, usually they're not after to get this, I'm going to sneak into these kids' lives, and they're just playing video games and sharing it with the community and having fun that way. So
So my next thought is consuming versus creating. Like, is this something that, like, I'm thinking of, like, promoting consumerism a little bit, because these things kind of make you want to buy the games or something like that, where if you didn't watch these things you wouldn't have even thought about that. Just like watching unboxing videos or something where these kids are now wanting all this stuff because they watch somebody else open up this toy and play with it or something like that.
see, I'm a grown man, so I know I'm not going to go spend $60 to buy City Skylines.
I'm not, like, this isn't a podcast to, like, accuse you. This is also to be helpful.
I know,
for
but we're playing,
families.
but we're doing basically a sample discussion about this whole topic, and so I think it hopefully is pretty valuable. I think, but so first of all, I don't want to go buy City Skylines, because I just can't drop $60 for a computer game. But I can watch somebody play it and think creatively as he's building it, and laugh along with the community as he makes jokes, and comment on there, and sometimes, which has happened, get commented back from the guy who created it, and and support him in whatever way, because he's doing something fun and creative. And I will say this, that this podcast keeps going. Some of the reason is because when I watch other people create on YouTube, it inspires me to continue to create on YouTube or on Facebook or on whatever. And so I look at it and I go, man, they've built such a cool audience. They've built a community of people. I feel like I have value to bring that can help me do the same thing. Now, I'm a grown man, so my brain is more inclined to think that way. If I was 16 years old, I would just sit and mindlessly drool and watch this stuff
That's
happen.
what I was going to say. If
Probably.
they have this,
Yeah, but there are people on there, these
15 years
family
ago.
bloggers. There are people on YouTube, and this is kind of getting off the Let's Play esports thing, but there's guys who are like scooter. I know of a guy who is a scooter champion. Like Razor scooters, they have full on, more to my point, of anything you can do competitively. I mean, underwater basket weaving, just junk like that. But there's eating competitions, for crying out loud. Like he was popular in the Razor scooter world, and he started doing daily vlogs on YouTube and creating. And I think he's 17 now, but he started when he was 12 on YouTube doing all this stuff. And now he's got this audience and this community, and he's inspiring other kids to do more things, and he's using his platform in a positive way. And I think there are people on YouTube who are just wasting my time. But I believe there are people like the guys I follow that I mentioned, Christopher Odd, like Quill18, people like that, who have built themselves a nice community of people who they're inspiring, and like Quill18 even goes as far as to teach you how to build video games.
Yeah.
He does a competition every year where he builds an entire video game in 48 hours by himself, from nothing to a fully playable game, and then he lets anyone download it for free. He streams the whole process of him doing it. Anytime he's working on the game, he streams it so you can watch and learn. That's pretty cool. and especially in a world we live in where doing stuff, designing and working on computers and coding and things like that are going to be what your kids get for jobs someday. It's going to be required because there's not going to be anybody screwing screws into car doors anymore. It's only going to be robots doing that. And so you know, this is good information for them. They've got to be the right people, and it has to be healthy amounts of time and things like that, of course.
Because that's the thing. They have to have the time to actually learn to do those skills. Because otherwise they are going to be the ones screwing the screws into car doors because they've only ever watched anybody else do things.
They've never done anything for themselves.
They've never done anything for themselves.
Yeah.
And they have to be careful to have that balance of, you know, because I just will always default to, like, real world first. And then I understand there's a lot of great things on YouTube. We use it for school a lot, so I am thankful for YouTube and things like that to help, you know, teach our kids and teach us and stuff like that. But just reminding your kids that, like, okay, it's fun to watch this kind of stuff sometimes, but whether it's sports or esports, there has to be a balance of you getting off your butt and doing something, as well as the, you know, escapism or entertainment or something. Because we do have an epidemic, I think, of entertainment over other
consuming
things.
over creating.
Consuming over creating. And that's why, for me especially, I will always encourage my children to do rather than just observe. Because observation is good to a point, but then you have to get to the point where you have to get in there and actually do something. So I will forever be the advocate for that in our family, and maybe you need to be that advocate in yours, because this is a big thing, and it's not going away anytime soon. And the technology and the
and these people aren't growing out of it.
Technology. Yeah, this isn't becoming old. It's just becoming more.
Yeah, and the kids aren't growing up and leaving it behind like we did Nintendo, except for nostalgia reasons. Like, they're growing up and it's becoming either part of their career or part of why they don't have a career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so whether they're becoming Let's Play gamers, or they're becoming developers who make games themselves, or they're becoming kids who, you know, barely pay rent because they work whatever and they just play games all day or whatever. Whichever they become, it is impacting them in some way. And I think as parents, we can help guide how it impacts them, but based on how we allow them to consume it, what kind of conversation we have with them about it. You know, ask them, why do you like this guy when he plays Minecraft? Oh, because he's funny. Okay, he's funny, that's fun. Does he make cool stuff? Do you ever build what he builds and stuff? Oh yeah, sometimes I do this. And you think about it and you go, hey, my kid's kind of being inspired by this kid to be more creative. That's okay, that's good. Or you go, who are you watching here? Oh, this guy. Why do you like him? Because he's disgusting and he pukes and farts and burps. And you're like, I don't necessarily think that's a good idea. Maybe let's find somebody more creative or better. But I think my point in wanting to really talk about this is, number one, I wanted to just kind of let us both present our thoughts on it, because I knew you would be over here while I'm over here. Because this is my main form of entertainment.
Yeah.
It really is what I do. Other than watching Doctor Who and movies when they come out that I like, geek movies, I prefer video game stories. I just think the writing's better in games. Just the way they write the storylines of these games, because they have 6-8 hours of story time to tell. Now, not necessarily. It probably works out to about the same, because most of that is gameplay, not actual story time. But just the way they write the stories, it's just more creative. It seems better. It's not copycats of old stuff. So I do like that. But I knew we would have this kind of back and forth kind of thing. Not an argument, but just how we do, where we just hash stuff out and it's fun. So I thought maybe that would be beneficial for you to hear. I also wanted you to know that it's not a fad. It's not going away. This is something your kids will not grow out of. It will just change what games they watch and who they watch do it. So keep an eye on what they're watching, who they're watching. YouTube Kids, again, is a good solution to help make sure they're only seeing kid-friendly stuff. It's not foolproof, so every now and then you need to be watching too, so you can red flag stuff if it's not good or report it. But esports is a real deal. It's a real thing. And
so are books. Books are real.
Books are also real, and they're good, and they're important, and I like them. But
you can also steer them.
But this is the
another
Family Tech
direction.
blog, Family Tech Weekly, not Family Book Weekly. So
Books are on tech. I've actually been listening to a lot of audiobooks
true,
lately.
and I have been listening to one as well, or several. So anyway, thank you for watching. And we'll continue this conversation off camera so you can get about your
Plenty
business.
of times.
So you
I'm
can
sure.
continue about your business. I'm going to go watch somebody play Civilization 6.
No, you're
I'm
not.
just kidding, I'm
We're
not.
gonna go to
We have
the
to go to the chiropractor. But, are we supposed to be there at 3:20?
Yeah.
It's 3:10.
We need
All
to
right.
leave right
Thank
now.
you very much for watching. We'll see you next time on Family Tech Weekly. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram, FamilyTechBlog.com, and Because Family on Facebook. God bless. Thank you. See you later.